All right. Again, this is just going to be no smooth transitions, Brian. Drama in Chicago, our favorite teams. So basically what ended up happening in this last season, last week, this season too, I guess, Brian, is Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade both got benched for comments they made about the team, where they basically came out and, if I'm reading it right, in like a post-game interview, essentially said their players didn't play hard and were calling out the younger players. And actually, Rondo came back and said it's not the younger players' fault, it's leadership. Shots fired. Now, what's amazing, too, is the game after that, Rondo plays amazing, or not amazing. He plays good. He played a good game. I was debating putting him on the top 10 box scores of the week. But Butler got the honor because he shot 1 for 13 and had the worst game of the week.
But he got stuck in that shade. Got stuck in that shade.
This team is great in that it's a funny myth that we hear at the Box Score Geeks Wages of Wins all the time is we put up a list of like top 10 players and people say, well, you couldn't have a team of Ben Wallace and let's name some others, Dennis Rodman, all of these players that are rebounders that don't do much else. And what's funny is we've always agreed. We've said that team construction matters. Yes, players like Ben Wallace, who are really good at rebounding and really good at blocks and really good at D, are important. But if we had to put a team of 5 players together, we would pick one of each positions. We'd make sure we had someone who could pass. We could have 3-point shooters. The Chicago Bulls are such a hilarious team in that this is one of the few teams where they grabbed a bunch of players that we like, Jimmy Butler, Rajon Rondo, way back in the day. I thought that was a stupid play, but it's an interesting play. Michael Carter-Williams. They didn't get any shooters. This is like one of the stupidest constructed teams of all time, and an example of where, yes, you could look at all these players and say at one point in their career, the Wages of Wins liked all of these players, which is true, but we would never put this team together because, oh my goodness, you need multiple skill sets, and they have like 4, Michael Carter-Williams, Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, and Rajon Rondo, talking about overlapping skill sets. And the fact that this team is 500 and in the playoff hunt is amazing to me, but the drama is also hilarious.
I mean, but that's the case with Bulls management, because I even go back to when Tibbs was there, and just they've done a lot of head scratching stuff. I remember when Jimmy Butler was a rookie and he was barely getting minutes, and I was just like, he should be playing more. And I don't think they should have ever recruited Wade to play for the Bulls, because that was just, he was done. I think he was just grasping for straws. Like, they was trying to stay relevant, but that's not how you stay relevant, by signing. Well, what's his contract? It's like $20 million a year.
To be fair, I will give two people, the Heat and Pat Riley and Dwayne Wade, all the credit in the world for this, because the Heat kind of wisely forced Wade into knowing that they weren't going to give him money, which is good. That's good job on the Heat for knowing what's up. And then I will give Wade all the credit. Okay, so it looks like he's got a player option in 2017 next year. He's getting paid $23 million a season, and he's getting paid for both years, and it is a cap hit in both cases. So there's
go ahead, Wade, get your money. Like, I'm not mad.
But that was a baffling. Like, if you're the Bulls and you have $23 million to spend, they got out of Derrick Rose, which is such a good move.
Okay, and disclaimer, I will never be on the side of management. I'm a pro player, so get your money, players. Get your money. I don't care. Melo, get your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, to your point, when you're saying you're a pro player, let's just point out that Dwayne Wade knows what he's doing here, right? You said stay relevant. Dwayne Wade, if his numbers aren't as good as they've been in the past, the way he stays relevant is he makes it sound like it's not his fault.
Game.
It's bad. All-Star game. Is he in the All-Star game?
Yep.
He's
starting, I think.
That is so bad.
Over Giannis. That's is Giannis starting?
I thought this year they changed the format such that the voters.
Okay, Giannis might be starting. Him and Caleb might be in the front court.
Giannis was counted as a forward, which is the good thing. So that's good. He's starting.
Yeah.
If I recall.
Okay, I was about to say, because I was like, no, I know he plays guard, so I'm like,
it was the good news. Wade didn't make it into the All-Star game. The fans would have voted him in, but they changed the format this year, so the writers and players didn't vote him in. So the Eastern starters are DeRozan, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Giannis, and Jimmy Butler. So they got it right.
DeRozan. The fans voted DeRozan in.
The fans, media, and players voted in DeRozan.
Yeah, that DeRozan Irving backcourt, not quite as good as Curry Harden.
You get some decent pieces for DeRozan.
Yeah,
and I remember saying once in the comments that like letting him go and just bumping Terrence Ross up to a starter is essentially the same. At the time, they were essentially the same like production level, and he was cheaper. He was like maybe he's still on his rookie deal, so he was way cheaper.
They could have kept Biyombo.
That too.
That would have been
something. They got bigs. They got bigs. So that's good.
But another weird point when we talk Biyombo, the Magic and the Bulls, hilariously, in terms of roster construction, I have no idea what either of those teams are doing, because they both signed 3 or 4 players of overlapping skill set of varying skill too. So I don't know what was going on with those two teams, but yeah, had to give some love to the drama in Chicago, and all I can say is don't piss off Butler. That's the rule here.
Historically, Orlando's been a really bad franchise, so it's not really out of their nature. But Chicago, they're really outside of the the Chicago, the MJ Bulls. They're really kind of mediocre. So, such is the case.
No, I've got this roster up right now, and things went pretty bad for them luck-wise. I mean, yeah, they probably construct a bad roster, but Dwayne Wade, you would not expect him to play after that contract, and he is not. A bigger problem for them, though, is their big men. Robin Lopez they brought in. He's not playing as well as usual. He's not that old yet, but who knows why he's not playing well. Taj Gibson is not either. And then they had some young players that they were hoping would step up. Guys like Mirotic, McDermott, Portis. Maybe Mirotic is not even that young anymore. Those guys are playing like crap. I mean, really this team right now is Jimmy Butler and a little Rajon Rondo, and that's it. Like, everyone else is not playing well. Like, there's bad luck and bad everything for the Bulls.
Give more minutes to Alicio, I guess.
Give some more minutes to the Brazilian.
There's not, but I mean, what else are they going to do, though? Who else do they have? I mean, Paul Zipser? I've never even heard of him. Who's Paul Zipser?
No clue. I've never heard of that. Never heard of that guy.
I will say, we got I got some flack on the Joel Embiid show where they said you're mispronouncing, so you clearly don't watch that. That is funny with the NBA where it becomes very true. Where a Bulls fan would be like, "You don't know Zipser? He's played these games." It's like, yeah, I don't watch the Bulls. By the way, so Melo too. We didn't really talk much about it, but same venue as we went all over the place, Brian. So I'll just finish up on this. I wanted to give Dave Barry some credit, because there was an article at CBS Sports where they basically said the Celtics aren't targeting Carmelo Anthony, and they were smart for that. But here's what the article said. I don't know the author, and I don't want to get in trouble.
We're not showing it, by the way, because it has horrible ads that are blowing up our stream. So screw you, CBS.
So the CBS article says, adding Anthony might make their offense better, but it takes possessions away from more efficient players, and he's a ball stopper. He makes the offense more unpredictable, or more predictable, not unpredictable, more predictable. Dave Barry's comment on this was, in what universe can a player make an offense better by, following the logic of this analyst, taking possessions away from more efficient players and make an offense more predictable? There's not a might here. What this
there's a way to, he agrees to have his contract bought out and then someone brings him in. No, that's right. That's what my point is. The scenarios where it is worth it will never happen.
It's Josh Smith all over again.
Yeah.
I think that is a good comparison. I don't think Melo ever had as sustained. I think Josh Smith actually put up a good season. Melo never had it, but the same kind of thing where it's like this player who makes all these bad decisions.
Which I don't know why New York doesn't just waive him like Detroit waived Josh Smith. But I guess they just really value. They just really want something in return.
Well, we bring up logical fallacies and behavioral psychology, and let's just be honest, sunk cost. A team that has invested $25 million a year in a player will never give up on that player. That's why Rose kept getting minutes, despite the fact, Rose has been done for 3 seasons. The fact that he kept getting minutes in Chicago was just them going, we invested over $100 million in this player. We can't give up. And that's one of the biggest logical fallacies. Businesses make it. NBA teams make it.
I mean, Derrick Rose is basically Pistons Isaiah Thomas, right? Not current Celtics Isaiah Thomas. When he was young, he was amazing. Then he had this injury that just ruined his career, and he never came back, right? It's the same kind of player.
I would agree wholeheartedly with that. All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Isaiah Thomas, this is actually a good transition. Isaiah Thomas did make the All-Star reserve out east. So the All-Star reserves out east are Paul George and whatever. Kevin Love, not a horrible pick, but, I'll give it to him. Kyle Lowry, excellent. Paul Millsap, Isaiah Thomas, Kemba Walker, and John Wall. So that's so what's up? I mean, I like Paul Millsap. I just
No. I actually agree. It was just funny. Your reaction was funny.
It was it was one of those.
Like, why not Dwight Howard? Like, Dwight Howard he's been in previous All-Star games, but people just don't like him.
Yeah, I was gonna say out east it was
players too. Players, and I think coaches don't like Dwight Howard. He's just not really nice. I mean, I don't know what it is about him, but people just don't like him.
I was gonna say, do we have any comments on the East All-Star reserves, players that definitely got snubbed that should have belonged in, players that, like I said, Paul George is another.
Did Drummond make it?
I don't think Drummond did make it, unless he made the starter.
I think I'm gonna have to write an article.
That would be my automatic. That would be my automatic assumption. I mean, my automatic first thought is Drummond on the team?
Let's see. Yeah, Drummond currently, according to our numbers, is like a top 15 player. But by the way, man, the West is doing amazing this season. Gobert, James Harden, DeAndre Jordan, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Kawhi.
I always like the idea of the All-Star game just being the last season's champion against the rest of the league. I always been a fan of that.
Oh, I like that.
That's like an ABA. The ABA did that kind of. What they did is they did the Denver Nuggets, who had the best record in the league at the time, against the rest of the stars. And their reasoning for doing it, ironically, was that they didn't have enough players to like field two All-Star teams. So I think they were down to like 9.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
the Warriors versus the league has a better ring to it than the East and West All-Star game.
But can we be fair to the Warriors versus the rest of the league is still funny because that's got Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, who made it as an All-Star. I don't think that's the right call, but is what it is.
I mean, if you're talking about trying to make trying to make it competitive, I think players would take pride in trying to beat the Warriors. I think players would actually take pride in that. I actually try.
Because I think that there's nothing really on the line. I don't agree with what baseball did, where they made the home court advantage decided by the winner of the All-Star game. That's just silly.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like for it to involve stuff like that. It's just an exhibition. I don't like stuff that.
And I don't like that the NBA has included being voted as an All-Star starter part of your pay. I don't like either of those. But would you just that does make it more exciting. But okay,
but that's a good way to potentially game the system, Moneyball wise, because you can have an overrated All-Star and you can trade for undervalued assets.
Yeah. So anyway, out east though, I agree with you. Andre Drummond, definitely a snub. He's averaging a 20-20 per 48 minutes. I mean, he's always been amazing at rebounds.
And Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard has. I mean, there's not been.
And I think I said in the season preview, there's always potential for him to bounce back for some reason. Just MVP level Dwight.
Yeah, I mean, he is right above Kawhi right now in fewer minutes, which is remarkable. Let's be fair. Kawhi has kind of come back up to his old levels. He was having a little bit of weakness in the start of the season, but Dwight Howard is playing the best ball he's played since Orlando. I think he was never quite 100% in LA or Houston, but he's playing just downright great for Atlanta. So that would have been those are two definite good ones. Obviously, some easy names to lop out east. We can't get rid of the starter, but obviously DeMar DeRozan, Kyrie Irving's just bizarre to me. I think he's really benefited from playing next to LeBron James.
Yeah, a lot of players have. I'm looking at you, Eric Snow. But yes, go ahead.
Let's see. Paul Millsap, of course. I'm happy Isaiah Thomas made it in, just because what's also amusing to me is Isaiah Thomas was on the Kings. Kings could have had Isaiah Thomas,
and Whiteside, but
yep.
Yeah.
Although White looks like he's been beat up and injured. I mean, it's funny. We'll see what happens, but he is turning into an injury story, which is kind of
Andrew, I'll try to answer your question from a little bit ago about Dwight Howard. I think he's exactly like Shaq. So which means it's a combination of two things. Number one, just kind of that he's physically who he is. Like Shaq was so big and he'd get fouled so hard, and you remember there was some complaints about that, like if this were a normal sized player, we wouldn't have let those hard fouls get away on Shaq. I think people just don't like the super big guys on some level, so that's part of it. Another is I think they have similar personalities. Maybe they aren't seen as taking the game as seriously. They joke around, maybe are a little bit less mature, or give the air of being less mature than other players. Because, like, I think when you're a pro sports player, you're expected to say to the media, this is the most serious thing ever, and I just care so much. And you can't even let a little bit of an air of joking around, not being serious in there. So I think that's why people don't like Howard, just like Shaq, right? Here's this big guy who's larger-than-life personality, and he's not, behaving the way we want them to behave. I think that's what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna speculate a little bit. Like, I watched the 30 for 30 with the Orlando Magic, some of the stuff like behind the scenes, Shaq, I was like, he's low key like a douche. Like,
he's not very mature, right? He's kind of a clown.
He's really not. And I remember Gentry talking about how like he walk around like dance and like rub up against guys in the locker room naked and stuff, and just I can see why players are just like dude, chill out. And I think Dwight is similar in that fashion, that he doesn't know when to play, and then sometimes he can flip the script and be like super vindictive. Like when he was trying to get his way, trying to get out of Orlando, there was a lot of stuff going on. And I remember him and Penny got into this thing, and he did that commercial where he kind of took a jab at Penny, like little stuff like that.
Right. And also the Mavericks decision versus Houston, right, with Howard. People saw him as flip-flopping with that decision, which is kind of like, a sign of weakness. Or
I think people should be able to flip-flop. Like,
I totally agree.
Jordan did the same thing. DeAndre Jordan did the same thing, and then like the Clippers like locked him in, like barricaded him in his own house. It's funny stuff.
It's a little weird, but yeah, I mean, with players, it's so weird that we get mad, we get so angry. But coaches, for instance, make decisions like that all the time. We know for a fact that the teams are very hit and miss. They'll it's worth noting, like the Thunder were gonna sign Tyson Chandler and change their mind after hell stuff. So it's like people change their mind all the time. It's really weird to give players.
I have no problem with people changing their minds. People should change their mind more often, but that's just me.
That's science, right? When new evidence presents itself, you can take a new position. But I just think that that's kind of against the macho culture, and maybe that's why they don't like Howard as much.
Make a decision and live by it.
That's right, forever, for 100 years. You have to live by that decision.
All right. Well,
let's go with the West.
Yeah, let's go to the West. I was going to say, thank goodness DeAndre Jordan, who I've called MVP level for years, finally makes the All-Star game. I think the only reason he makes it is because Chris Paul's out injured. But with DeAndre Jordan making it comes some sadness, because Gordon Hayward, who, fine, he's not a bad pick, makes it. But for F's sakes, how is it possible that Rudy Gobert doesn't make the All-Star game and DeMarcus Cousins and Marc Gasol both do?
And Klay Thompson.
Well, they're not. He's not a big, but
stupid one too. I guess so. Yeah, wow. I mean, we can't answer. It's a travesty, Dre. It's a travesty. Someone should write an article.
And Utah is a playoff team, so I guess voters and fans and mainstream media think it's because of Gordon Hayward, which is, Well,
I've talked about this before, and there's actually an article I linked in the comments recently, where I talked about, the metrics for picking MVP are really obvious. The metrics for picking MVP are the top scorer on a winning team, which is why, Derrick Rose won the MVP in the year when he's playing next to, I don't think Jimmy Butler was there that year, but, it had Joakim Noah when Noah was still relevant. I think Boozer had, that was like the last bit of gas in his tank. There are a few other good players. I think Thabo Sefolosha was on that team, if I recall. But there were some good players.
He was on the bench though. He was kind of a rookie, I think. He was young. He was on the bench though.
So there are all these good players now. It's worth noting, Gordon Hayward is playing star level, is the second best player on that team, but that team is far and away Rudy Gobert's. Yep. He's got 18.3 points per 48, 17.9 rebounds per 48, 3.6 blocks per 48, has a true shooting percent of 68.3%. Now, and if we get into an argument that we didn't bring up as much with Joel Embiid, the defense thing, everybody accepts that Gobert is like the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
So you've got the best defender with all of these great numbers, and the player that gets the credit is the guy who's really good, which I'm not disagreeing with, really, really good. For F's sake, the star of that team is not Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward's the second best player on the team. The best player is Gobert. Him not being the All-Star game is just a travesty. I'm happy DeAndre got in, but Gobert is currently, according to our numbers, the best player in the league right now.
Gobert getting more minutes and the addition of George Hill is why they're making the playoffs this season.
Although what I think it makes them scary because George Hill has had a bunch of injuries and was out for a bit. I think with George Hill healthy, they are a much better team than their record, which is really scary for the playoffs.
Well, and here's something even more amazing about Gobert is Utah the past few seasons we've been saying this team, their front court is scary, right? They are loaded in the front court, and they just need a good guard. Well, they got George Hill, great. Well, now all of a sudden, everyone except Gobert is hurt. Derek Favors, who is that second half of that tandem of great young big men, not really played at all. Jeff Withey, who's kind of come out of nowhere and been a good young player, he's not playing any minutes. I don't even know if he's healthy or not. Maybe he's healthy and they just aren't giving him minutes.
They're just not playing him.
So that's kind of stupid of them. But the point is, he's kind of been all alone there in the front court. Like Trey Lyles has not been much of a help.
Yep.
I think Dave Barry put out a tweet about that 2014 draft class, and it was talking about basically all these guys are below average, and it's what 2 years in, and none of them are still good. It's kind of funny.
It happens sometimes.
I was gonna say it is amusing to me. I felt bad about this, Brian, but do you agree at this point Russell Westbrook should have started in front of your boy Steph?
I was just gonna say that Westbrook and Harden easily. I think the starters. Yeah.
Wait, I say they should at least just for entertainment. Russ, Harden, Durant. Come on.
I agree.
Why is that? What are the fans doing?
I totally agree.
Obviously, we spent a good portion of the show already bashing DeMarcus Cousins, so our thoughts there.
There was a small subset of Thunder fans, small NBA people too, that wanted for Scotty Brooks to start Harden for whatever reason. I was just he's fine in the Manu role, but yeah, they should have started him.
The minutes. I mean, it's an interesting. The ego thing is really weird, and that is I think why Manu. You just said the Manu role is one of the most underrated players in the NBA history. Is because I think if you there's not a reason that being the first off the bench should matter, and yet it does. It matters a great deal. And if you have a team where you can always have a balanced attack going, you're much more potent. Which players like Manu Ginobili and Lamar Odom have shown in the past. So, and
I think coaches should focus on that more.
But of course, to be fair, what tends to happen with coaches, we saw last year with how am I dropping his name, Blatt. You get in a fight with a star player, and they'll just get to appease the star.
Well, the thing with Blatt was that he was used to a different culture. In European basketball, the coach has more say. It's more like college, basically, where the coach is the ruler. Well, you go to bed at this time. All guys lights out at this time, and these are adults that are getting told lights out at this time, and it's just funny over there, that culture.
I'll say Marc Gasol, he's been shooting great from three, and what I'll say is he's having a LaMarcus Aldridge season, and by that what I mean is he's having a lot of random great games. I think he got his first triple-double this season. Him and Pau Gasol are the only two players on Memphis.
Isn't that the definition of average, though?
What?
Having wild spikes, both good and bad, but it's averaging out.
He's average but volatile, and we've seen that where people will love volatile over, like you brought up Otto Porter is a great example earlier, where you have a consistent player that's not star but good. People don't like that, but if you've got a player that will occasionally put up a triple double or a 50-point game or whatever,
Cousins is a good example, right?
Cousins is a great example, even if their numbers. Yeah, Cousins is average. Is same note, Andrew. He's a little above average, like you're pointing out. Little above average, but he's got these wild spikes. People love volatile. So Marc Gasol, above average player, probably a good defender. People voted him because of the wild spikes. And Klay Thompson, I blame your stupid Warriors, Brian. He didn't belong in the offense. I like Klay, but no.
So, Dre, I did a little follow-up on the guards here because you asked me about Curry versus Westbrook. So we've got wins produced by all guards in the NBA right now in order, just to kind of do playing along for people listening audio only. Harden is number one for everyone. Not a big surprise. We're predicting he'll be MVP this season. And then the next, 2, 3, and 4, they're all in the East. Giannis, Butler, and Lowry. No surprise there.
And don't forget, Giannis, for all-star game purposes and probably for all NBA purposes, was considered a forward. So.
Okay, that's fair. So we'll kick him out.
Butler and Giannis, I think, both counted as forwards. So anyway.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then this will tie in. That's a nice tie-in then to my point here. So we got Chris Paul next. He's hurt. He's not going to play. Then we have Russell Westbrook. He's the guy we think should have been in there. 8.6 points wins produced, 4.6 points over par. Pretty good. Curry is right behind him, though. He's starting to catch up a little, which I was surprised about. He's up to 7.3 wins, 3.9 points over par per 48. But now who comes after Westbrook and Curry? Jeff Teague from Indiana is the last player this year who's playing at a star level. John Wall is just under star level per minute. So, interestingly, for Utah and Atlanta and all these other teams we've been talking about, Jeff Teague on the Pacers has played like a star and maybe should be an all-star this year.
Well, at least we got the Falcons in the Super Bowl.
Sorry,
yeah,
Andrew.
I don't wait. Yeah, I forgot you're Atlanta and you're a fan. I guess I can't believe
I'm not a fan. Okay, I should say I'm not a fan of the Falcons. I mean, the Hawks, but I just watch them because the local.
Yeah, you feel the pulse of the city.
You're a fan of the Falcons, though.
I'm not a football fan, so no.
Okay, that right.
I just don't want to see the Trump team win.
The Falcons are Trump's.
No. The Patriots are the Trump team.
Robert Kraft is buddies with Trump. Is that right? And Tom Brady also.
Bill Belichick.
And Bill Belichick. Oh, good point. Oh, those Patriots.
I'm not a football fan, but I'm a Packers fan. So I was going to say, if we had the Falcons thing, I'm going to have to kick you off the show. That was painful. But anyway, that's most of that's an interesting point on Jeff Teague. Yeah, you should write an article. I mean, I
have to do this, Dre. I have to.
Yeah, if you've got more thoughts to give to Brian, let us know. If you don't see an article up, you can yell at him. If you do see an article up, it'll be great because Brian does good work. That's been most everything. Andrew, anything else to add?
No, that's it, man. I just really wanted to say more than I could in a comment about Embiid. As I could have just left after the Embiid thing. So, but I'm glad I was able to do this tonight.
Well, I was going to say what I do like, and it is the same when Patrick's here. It does look like we hit critical mass with three of us. It's like it's really easy for us to get into tangent mode on like NBA history because we're all such fans of things that relate. I will say you have been a breath of fresh air with your thoughts on Embiid because, again, I feel like I'm crazy here. Well, as Phil, I hate to say it, I've been thinking the same about Phil Jackson. It's funny where, the numbers said he's a good coach, which is fine. But
when I used to listen to the Short Corner, I got a sense that Shirley wasn't really sipping the Phil Jackson Kool-Aid because he had a big stint with the Lakers, and he talks about
he played for the Bulls too.
Got into it. He talked about when him and Kobe got into it.
Oh, yeah.
The Lakers were the team that named his book because it was the "Can I keep my jersey?" The Lakers would not let him keep his jersey. So, yeah. All right, so I'm ready to lead us into shout-outs. If either you, Brian, or...
I got one thing to close up the analysis, Dre, we say this all the time, but I feel like we need to say it again, is when we're talking about all these players, Embiid, Cousins, and Carmelo Anthony, I think especially, I think, people in the media and, mainstream media who get paid a lot, and then fringe, I guess we can call ourselves media like us, we have all these different opinions, and I feel like when we're categorizing players, they have to go into this narrative bucket, right? Like, that Cousins, he's a star big man, he's one of the best in the league, and just all of our analysis is going to come from that. And people are just kind of limited in how they can characterize a player. Like, there's only 3 or 4 different things they can call him, and we just have to be honest and say what they can do, right? I mean, Cousins does some things well, not others. Embiid, great young player, exciting, he can shoot threes, he can rebound, he can block shots, but he's been injured. He's got all these pluses and minuses, and that just adds up to something. And that's an magnitude matters. That's all. Like, don't fall into these buckets. Say what people really are. That's all.
I like it, and I will say I've got to get you. We got to come up with some funny shirt design for Brian with the word magnitude because that's Brian's keyword all the time. All right, let's go into shout-outs. This is a fun one. Coming back to the classic Charles Barkley being the crappiest analysis despite being one of the greatest NBA players. Dwayne Wade and LeBron James both fired back at Charles Barkley because Charles Barkley made some talk about how LeBron James was whiny for saying he needed more support to win a title. And I don't think that, by the way, I don't think it's unfair of LeBron James to say, hey, the team that should have won last year just got even better. If we're going to compete, I need to get better too. Now, to be fair, that's not going to happen, but fine. But I love this quote from LeBron James, which is on NBA.com. So LeBron James says, after years of being fodder for Charles Barkley to comment on his role as an analyst on TNT, LeBron James said enough. He's a hater, LeBron James told ESPN of Barkley following the thing. What makes what he says credible? Because he's on TV. Let me get back to the bottom. So, because I want to. Okay, so here's what he said. LeBron James. I'm not going to let him disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not I never showed up to the All-Star weekend on Sunday because I was in Vegas all weekend partying. All I've done for my entire career is represent the NBA the right way. 14 years, never got in trouble, respected the game, print that. Boom. And I do love that like one thing LeBron James did, and then I'll give the second quote. This is from Dwayne Wade, who, sided with LeBron James. Dwayne Wade said, let's see, I can just get this in front of me. Sorry, it's just not coming up as fast. So Dwayne Wade said, I like the fact that LeBron James called him out and told him a little bit about humble yourself. We all have flaws, but when your flaws are a little bit more, you should shut up. When you have a history, when you can go to Google your history, you better be a little careful with what you say. Sometimes when a guy gets a microphone in front of their face, they just talk and forget about their history. We all make mistakes, but especially a guy on TV, he's acting like he just walks on water. So yeah, both of them. I love this point about Charles Barkley, where Charles Barkley is a guy who says all this stuff. He gets mad at super teams. He's a guy that jumped around teams trying to win a title. He says all this stuff. He hates mid-range teams. He took the most threes in NBA history for how bad he shot. So like, Barkley saying all this crap is wrong, and I'm really happy Braun and Dwayne Wade.
If I'm LeBron, though, speaking of hypocrites, I would just be careful. We don't want some infidelity stuff to come out on him. You never know. You never know. Some infidelity stuff might come out on him. So
it's a rough one.
I remember Paul Shirley talking about how athletes and a lot of the, like, he was in a lot of locker rooms. So he was talking about NBA players and how a lot of those guys were like super like Christian, but next thing you know, they're cheating on their wife. Like, so just be careful.
Yeah.
And in the words of Charles Barkley, we're not role models.
Yeah.
I think Charles Barkley is a heel, and he is a hater, and he did a great job trolling LeBron, and I would reply to him with a troll face, and that's it. Everything LeBron said is right, but why so serious? You just got trolled, LeBron.
All right, the last one. Former Secretary General Sally Yates for refusing to uphold Trump's executive order. Yeah. She got fired over it. Obviously, if you're a fan of the show, you should know we're not fans of this. We're not going to do too much politics on the show, at least recently, and that's honestly because it's too depressing for me. Like, if I did that, it's already depressing enough. This show is kind of a reprieve. So maybe when things get a little better, I might be more political on the show like we used to be back in the day, Brian. But definitely got to give a shout out to Sally Yates for doing that. That takes courage. And here's hoping it's a sign of better things to come and not a sign of things getting worse. That is a somber note. Anybody have something less somber to end the show on? If not, I can take us to the end.
I can. Go ahead, Andrew.
I mean, you can't get more consistent than white people. Like I'm just saying. There's black people are not surprised that Trump won. Like, white people have been feeling like their little slice of American pie or whatever has been slipping away from them, from Muslims or people of color and minorities. So it was bound to happen. It's just sad that it's just in these 8 days he's done so much where it's just like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that someone that bad is fortunately not very competent, and so he's not able to do everything the way he wants. But it's still going to be a tough 4 years. I'm
going to go and tell everyone to watch that the 30 for 30 with Trump and how he blew away that chance at an NFL competition. And just, I think everyone should just watch that just so you can get a little taste of what this guy's going to.
Yeah, the USFL 30 for 30, I forget what it's titled, but it is fantastic. And yeah, basically there was a rival football league that used to play basically summer, like opposite side of the year.
Yeah.
So they didn't play, and Trump basically came in, got a team, and wrecked it. So yeah,
Vince McMahon also ruined the football league. So do not vote for him, white people. Just saying.
Agreed.
If he ever becomes president, if he ever wants to become president, do not vote for him.
Oh dear God, that he's so much like Trump. That all right. Anyway, that's enough. All right.
My fault. Not my fault.
This has been the Box Score Geek Show. If you found us not through the website, you can find us at boxscoregeeks.com. I've been your host, Dre Alvarez, aka Nerd Numbers, co-host Andrew Sutton. It's not his fault. Produced by Brian Foster. Twitter Boxscore.
I'll take the blame. It's my fault, Dre.
Find us on iTunes and Stitcher, the Box Score Geek Show. We go live every week, usually Tuesday or Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/Nerd Numbers. If you missed the live show, you can catch the recaps, YouTube, channel Nerd Numbers. Finally, if you have any good box scores, you can tweet them to me, #BSG Top 10. With that, we will see you next week.